actually a really fun game. I've played the prequel to the prequel, Ruse, which was the first game in the Wargame series, but it wasn't known as Wargame back then. Ruse, you may have heard of. It's the same style as Wargame, except it's in the Second World War. That's the main difference. It was a bit clunky. I think it was more of an experiment than a fully fledged RTS. I mean, it worked perfectly well, but I struggled to enjoy it, to be honest. It felt a bit clunky, the graphics were, especially close-up, rather lackluster. And the gameplay just felt a bit disjointed, but I bought the second game in the series, Airland Battle. There was a game before this called European Escalation, which was the first in the more modern series of games. But I went for Airland Battle for a few reasons. First of all, because my friend, Eccentric Greek, owns Airland Battle, so I've got a buddy to play with. The selection of units is much greater. There are planes in this game. European Escalation doesn't have planes. It has helicopters, but not jet aircraft, and those are a lot of fun to use. And the game is just slightly more polished. Obviously they took everything that worked with European Escalation and built upon that, and they came up with Airland Battle, and it's a really good game. I haven't played online yet, but I'm certainly considering doing so after I've worked on my technique. If you don't know the philosophy behind the Wargame series, you build things called decks, as you can see down here. A deck is essentially an army created by the player. You select from a huge range of units. You don't have enough slots to use all the units, so you have to choose the ones you want. You can have a general deck, which isn't limited by nation or unit type, or you can have a more specialized deck. A specialized deck has some benefits and some drawbacks. So for example, if you choose an armored deck, you're allowed to take more tanks, but you have to take less infantry. And you're limited to certain unit types, so your choice of infantry is limited as well. You can take less infantry and there are less squads, less types of squads available. But for example, an infantry-based deck would be allowed to use. So this is my first deck I've created here. My first NATO deck, Desert Rats. It's based on the British 7th Armoured Division. So it's an armoured deck and it's got quite a strong tank focus, as you can see. I've got some cheap throwaway tanks like the Scorpion and the Chieftain Mark II. They don't cost much, you can throw them into the fray and it doesn't matter too much if you lose them. But I've got some expensive frontline main battle tanks here. I've got 6 Challenger Mark Is on a high veterancy level. That's the core of my tank unit. Some support, I've got some self-propelled guns, some anti-aircraft artillery and some radar-guided anti-aircraft missiles. I've got a small selection of infantry, just because it's nice to have boots on the ground. I've got all the basic bases covered. Fusiliers are your basic foot sloggers, with your assault rifles and your disposable anti-tank launchers. Lad Javelin is for anti-air or anti-tank, armoured javelins, and the ATGM Milan, those are dedicated anti-tank. Logistics, I've got command vehicles here, the Sultan and the Rover CP. Use command vehicles to hold on to sectors, and sectors generate points which you can spend on reinforcements. Alpha Stalwarts, these are supply vehicles, much like the Forward Base of Operations, the FOB, Forward Operations Base. The Alpha Stalwarts provide supplies to your units, except with a FOB you have to keep your units near it to benefit from the supplies. But the Alpha Stalwarts can be sent out and supply an army that's on the move. Bit of light recon, a Gazelle recon scout helicopter. It's unarmed, but it's got a good long view range and it's very helpful for scouting. And I've got some SAS. I can't get SAS in my normal infantry stock. The only way I can get my elite infantry is through recon, so I've got some SAS down here. These guys are great. They're equal to or better than any infantry in the game, and they're heavily armed. And I've got them in an APC just for a bit of extra protection, because their infantry is quite fragile, and especially with expensive infantry, you want to keep them alive. I think I've only got basic trucks for these guys, because it doesn't matter too much if they die. But the special air service, it's definitely beneficial to give them something more than a canvas covering around them. Vehicles, Centurion AVRE. If you've heard of the Churchill AVRE, this is much the same. It's a Centurion with a huge howitzer on the front for destroying emplacements, infantry and so on. Strikers. These are the modern equivalent of a tank destroyer. They've got 80 GM anti-tank guided missiles. So I should probably show you these units. This is forward operation space. You can actually see that here. Supply trucks, command vehicles, Fusiliers, light javelin, 80 GM Milan, Abbott SPGs, anti-aircraft artillery, anti-aircraft missiles, the MBTs. Oh, look at that. Actually, while I'm here, I meant to replace those with Challenger Mark IIs. It's recently, well, not recently, I downloaded a patch that had been out for some time, the Magna Carta pack, which added the Challenger 1 Mark II. These are basically better than the Mark 1. They've got a more powerful AP shell, and they're more accurate. And they've got better stabilizers, so they're better at firing on the move. Some lighter spam tanks. Chieftain Mark II is it's still a good tank actually. It's got it's a pretty good all-round tank, but it's very cheap, so they're not my MBTs. Recon. There's my Recon chopper and my Special Air Service. Jolly good. And finally my air support. I like my planes. Basically pretty much any deck I've made. I've only made 2 decks so far, but I want to get as many planes in as possible because they look really cool and they're really fun to use. Some cheap, not quite throwaway, but very close to being throwaway, Harrier GL1s. These are the cheapest planes available. But they've got a pair of 500 kilo bombs and a pair of twin 30 mils. Not a pair of twin, because that would make 4. A pair of 8 and 30 mils.
Someone need a Guardian Angel?
No, not at the moment, thanks. Guardian Angel. Yep, 500 kilo bombs. This is your very basic air support. This is a ground attack plane, I believe. Multi-role, okay, yeah. You can shoot at planes with the Aidens, but they're better at firing at helicopters. Or infantry. Harrier GR5, that's a step up. This has got twice as many bombs, a pair of air-to-air missiles, but it costs nearly twice as much. And now you get into your serious Panavia tornadoes. These are beasts. Air superiority. Primarily these are designed to shoot down enemy aircraft, helicopters or jets. Very accurate, very powerful air-to-air missiles. But they're expensive, but they are very fast. The top of the range is the ADV F3. This has got very good electronic countermeasure systems. It's heavily armed, very fast, fantastic plane. So, that's my Desert Raz deck. I may be showing some gameplay at some point if I can get it recorded. I hope you've enjoyed this little introduction to Airland Battle. I can recommend it. Unfortunately, the Steam sale ended yesterday, so it's no longer as cheap as it was, but even so, I can recommend at least having a look at it. So, thanks for watching. This has been Reach for the Sky. See you soon.